Welcome to Stormwatch by Grey Noise Intelligence. Each week, we cover the latest info on what's happening at Grey Noise, Census, and Vulncheck. Take a look at a roundup of important and timely cybersecurity topics, toss out some expert opinions, and drop the occasional conspiracy theory. Today, it's AI all the way down, and we kick off the episode by looking at the privacy and breach implications thanks to the careless actions by a bunch of DOGE bags. Then we deep seek some clarity on the training cost claims, baked-in biases, and privacy concerns about the hot new reasoning model from a China-based AI upstart. Next, the team weaves the tangled web as we check out Splunk's new LLM-based DECEIVE honeypot. And lastly, we check in with the latest happenings at our respective benevolent overlords, and, time permitting, check in with CISA Kev to see if it's actually still an active government program. How's everyone doing?
We're chilling. We're just real breezy over here.
Easy breezy.
Easy
Cover
breezy.
girl?
That's all you can do,
Isn't that
man.
it, right?
That's all you can do.
All right, so we're doing highs and lows again. So I'm going to start with the most epic hat in the screen right now, Himaja. What are your highs, lows, both, one or the other?
What's up, Bob? Wowza, this week has been such a chill, calm week as always.
Oh yeah,
in my world. So I think that my high is gonna have to be that they had my favorite mango snack in stock at Trader Joe's.
Oh.
It's the little things.
Oh, it's the
Wow.
Trader Joe's snacks that really get us
Not
through.
sponsored. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
I just really like mango.
Those are
wait,
good.
we'll
have a
take a
Trader
sponsor.
Joe's
Wait,
within-
we will take a sponsor. We'll definitely take a sponsor.
It's the dried mango slices that are so good.
My
Chili
favorite
dip.
Trader Joe's snacky lately is those chili lime chips. The
good too.
Takis knockoffs.
Sometimes when you need to eat your feelings, you need the right things at your fingertips.
Solid point.
The right carbs.
The right
Right
carbs at your
carbs.
fingertips.
All right, so
Yeah,
him
my
and Hat-
closest
him
Trader
and managed-
Joe's is like 30 something miles away. That's
yeah.
not
So
great.
mine, I have to drive 30 minutes to one, so I never go.
Yeah, same.
Gotta make a day trip out of it.
Yeah, it's like a
Go
little
into
adventure.
town.
If I'm in the area, yeah, I'll group some things, but I'm not gonna go there like weekly.
Well,
You haven't found your snack then, that's what's telling me. You haven't created
okay.
a codependence on a very specific, commonly out of stock snack.
I need
Yeah,
to try
yeah,
harder.
and I
I'll
should
look for
go
the
there more
mango.
often because they have more. They have like the goats and sheep smoke stuff that I can grab there, like more than other places around here do. I should probably go there more often. Interesting. So Himaja managed to scrounge up a positive. That's awesome. Kimber, epic hat. That's awesome, by the way.
thanks.
And do you have a high, low, both, either, none?
I'm gonna go with a high, and I think that this is important for the visual viewers. The podcast listeners aren't going to appreciate this much, but I have a friend.
Epic friend. Wow. Everyone, you now need to go to the YouTube channel or Twitch or wherever you go, because you got to see. We're not going to describe it. It's a secret. You got to go look yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a really good friend. It's very kind. It does breathing exercises with you. And
No way.
Yeah, it tells your fortune. It does so many fun things. So
Kimber is a vibe today.
I know.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my new LinkedIn pick.
They're right there. Yep, that's it. Also, what happens if you feed it after midnight? Is that a problem?
You know.
Oh, just give it away, Glenn. Just give it away. Why don't you, Glenn?
No. Yeah, I thought it would be fun to have a little pet for the hacker space, but this doesn't have like Bluetooth or anything. It's like advanced mode hacking. So for
It
hacking
could
a
if you ship
feed.
it. If you ship it to Remy, it could have Bluetooth. It could.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet you could feed it after midnight. It'd be totally fine. Anything else is probably not okay.
Yeah. So that was my high.
Wow.
Very cool.
We're all gonna go with. I think we're all going with highs today. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Glenn, can you bring us down? Get a low, but maybe not. Do you have a high? Like we should probably try to keep it as positive
We'll
as
keep
possible.
riding the high. Yeah, no, we had Gray Noise Company offsite last week, and the vibes were high. It was great. We had, it's always good to see your virtual coworkers in real life and remember that they're not just like two-dimensional icons on a screen. But
We got to hang with Overwatch. We got to hang with Overwatch in real life.
Yeah, she's taller than I remembered, so that's cool.
Ashley is so tall. It's so powerful.
Yeah, totally. But no, it was great. It was very, very good. I'm grateful for the company investing in that because that's not cheap, but it's definitely worth it.
Although you did chicken out on the whole like Pilates off.
Well, yeah, for reasons, sir.
Just making sure. Just making sure.
What about you,
Overwatch,
Bob?
Well, no, Overwatch first. Overwatch, high or low? Nothing's on fire. I'm not throwing a parade either. Nothing of note to share. Sorry to be the downer. I mean,
someone check on
Overwatch.
I'm glad someone did because I was gonna go there, but since Overwatch went there, I don't have to. I will say that I'm gonna do a couple. So, Apple did some firmware update to their Magic Mouse, and like I usually like to use the Magic Mouse because it's got like the touch surface or whatever, but it was a completely unusable when I got home. So I got myself a brand new. What are these Logitech MX? It's got so many letters and numbers and
MX
stuff. I have no idea what it is. Yeah, 3S something. I don't know, whatever. It's really good though. Yeah. I like it a lot. So that's one little bright spot because like it actually is functional. I can use my screens.
Also not
it was great. It could be though. It could be. And then I will say hanging with everybody last week was pretty cool. Traveling to and from San Diego sucked though, so I'm never going to see San Diego again.
Yeah, I want to have words with that airport engineer, but that's for a different.
Yeah, that's the worst airport ever.
Not a wonderful airport.
Right. No, it is not. I'm gonna turn off.
Also, according to my pilot, that this airport should have never been built, which is great confidence from your pilot as you're about to take off.
Did you
folks that
okay. I'm
just
curious.
No, we both flew like normal airlines. It wasn't the airline's fault.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was an engineering issue with the weather. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
We're totally gonna move on. We actually did have a very subtle downer for the entire chat time because that was Barry Maguire's Eve of Destruction in Muzak format or karaoke format. So that's what we're hearing in the background there.
Oh, vibes.
We have a podcast, everybody. If you don't know that, this would be a great week to really make Overwatch's day and go into this little subscribe area over here and put your handle or whatever in their email in there. Like I think Overwatch would appreciate that a whole lot. And want to make folks aware. Microsoft released something this week. They did a study saying that AI rots your brain. So that's great that they're just blasting AI everywhere and it rots your brain. And another thing came out this week from since this is the AI episode for whatever, and the BBC did one as well where they actually looked to see how the ChatGPT et al. Did with answering questions about BBC stuff. And 51% of the answers about questions in the news that were that were covered by the BBC had issues of some form. 19% of AI answers which cited BBC content introduced factual errors, incorrect factual statements, numbers, and dates. And 13% of the quotes sourced from BBC articles were either altered from the original source or not present in the article cited. So hallucinations still happen. The randomness will continue until you relent and let Gemini have access to your Gmail. It's not great. Cool. We are going to kick things off. We're going to kick things off with some stuff that's going on, and for folks that are, so keep the chat nice. This is not a political podcast. We are talking about privacy and security and all sorts of implications from like letting folks run amok in the government with computers, which is what's happening right now with the Department of, what is it again? Government Efficiency, DOGE. So we aren't the only ones raising the alarm, and we want to have a discussion today about it because everyone's got feels and thoughts and opinions and facts about things. The group of U.S. senators are actually very concerned about the privacy stuff associated with it. And there was another. So again, this is a cyber intelligence brief from Substack that you're seeing up here if you're watching stuff. And we don't know the efficacy of this. It's someone's claims, but it looks legit. So like this falls into that occasional conspiracy theory, maybe think of what we do every so often. But there's some company called Inventory AI, which does like supply chain related stuff and optimization of spend in organizations. So it sounds plausible that they're using it. And there's some things there that we're going to have a chat about as well too. So I'm going to bring down this giant banner, this giant screen, and just talk to my friends and my teammates here. So so you all worried about your personal data being in the hands of juvenile delinquents with computers?
I was definitely very curious about this company. I think that it's always interesting to see like what companies kind of win the bid, so to say, like where is it sounds so conspiracy theory to be like follow the money, but who are the people who are developing the AI that we are now using in our government systems? So, like, if we're going to be using these LLMs, these companies that are branded with AI to do any kind of like supply chain analysis or anything like that, like what are their qualifications? Like, what is the standard for privacy actually going to be? And a lot of people are like, well, it's in GovCloud, so it's clearly been through some kind of vetting process, which is true. I think that's like a solid thing to think about. Is like, well, it's in Amazon GovCloud. That means that it's an approved government entity. I don't know how anyone here feels about that.
So while Inventory AI might have their systems in there, and that might be some of the places they are putting stuff through, I don't think that all the stuff they were shunting, according to reports, shunting to Microsoft's Azure, ChatGPT, whatever APIs is in Microsoft's equivalent of GovCloud. And I don't think that they were like there's accusations of servers and stuff being placed inside the organizations without any controls or following any of the guidelines either. And there's something there. Before we go though, I was expecting one of us to say this, but JP, who's on one of the Gray Noise team, so great, he's not worried about it because everybody's already got our data. Like
I love this argument for not being worried. I really do.
Is it an argument or is it just like, is it the ultimate Zen?
It's a piece that I wish I could be at.
My first thought, which there's a lot of near first thoughts when it comes to AI and government and decision making, but my first thought was around like it's proven that AI has biases and can discriminate very well. I want to say very well, but not as in that's good, but as in like it can successfully discriminate, efficiently discriminate at scale. So that was kind of my, it's a trained model. It's trained on things. Discrimination is in the things that it's trained on purpose or not on purpose. But there's going to be a strong element of that. And of the many things that are concerning about anything AI in the government space, especially at this stage, when it comes to what that organization is charged to do, that's kind of frightening, just from like the people that will be affected by it.
Yeah, I think it's also very interesting to me, like having that thought in mind of like there's been a lot of initiative for the government to adopt AI. Like there's so many.
It goes back several years.
Yeah, there's been a lot of initiatives of use AI because that puts us on the bleeding edge of technology, right? And there was a lot of discussion. I don't think there's any way to make this not political because privacy, computers, everything is like political. But one of the very like other controversial uses for AI is like there was when Israel and Gaza popped off, like Israel was using AI systems to determine like targeting. So I think we're going to keep having more of these conversations of like the ethicalness. What is the word? Ethics? The ethics of using this stuff. Because this is just supply chain analysis from what I read about the tool, right? You can't really get a good sense of what the tool is looking at their website, the inventory.ai, that there's just no zero or no O in there. But like if you look at the website, you don't really get a good sense of what's going on there. But if you look at the history of the people who are listed on the website, they have a lot of supply chain background. So it's just, I think from what I can tell, it's like looking at receipts mostly as the data. I don't have a good background in supply chain as it turns out.
I mean, I guess as it focuses, as it relates to this example, but I mean, there's also been the chat of, or the conversations of using government data to create, like to train LLM to look for efficiencies and stuff like that. So like, while I'm not like immediately out of the gate opposed to like AI, like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying, but AI has a lot of good uses. It also has a lot of things that it should never have, it should never touch. And so like, there are a great number of reasons to use this to find efficiencies or to find outliers in what the government is processing or paying or whatever. However, are we there yet? What are the regulations and rules of engagement for training these models, for using their output, for double checking, some QA maybe before they make some decisions on their own? I mean, remember like United Healthcare was doing AI, or reportedly doing AI for claims-based decision making, and that went really terrible. So, in a alert only mode, maybe this is something that's got some legs, but as far as a yes, no, make decisions mode, let's not.
Yeah, I think it's naive to think that it's new that data is being used in this way in the government, right? We already have algorithms deciding who goes to jail, who gets federal aid, who gets student loan assistance, like things like this. I think the main difference is how opaque it all is, and the fact that there's like no transparency, right? We custom chatbot, like these third-party companies, that all introduces risk, but I don't even think that I don't know that anybody really understands that risk, or that people who want to could if they wanted to. And I don't know, I think that's what concerns me most, but it is something that has been in motion for a long time. Like, I hate to use warlike metaphors, but I feel like this is the next arms race. And we just had it all happen and coalesce in 1 week instead of how it should have happened, which is over a more sustainable period of time.
Yeah, it's that whole pattern of like accelerationism, and then we introduce the regulation to bring it back into like safety a bit. I think the best, like, none of it should be a surprise, right? Like, I think that's kind of the point that we're going around is just like none of this should be a surprise given what we've seen in private industry and what we know the Bay Area tech scene is really focused on right now. Given like some of the regulation that we have seen through about like using AI, especially in terms of the Department of Defense, like kind of things. So we should not be surprised when we see it. And we should probably be able to predict what's going to happen next.
And remember, and I know we're going to talk about DeepSeek here in a second, but with DeepSeek, it's kind of been an interesting journey for them. But then, it was found out shortly after that it leaks data, right? And so that's another thing to take into consideration here, is how tested are these models, or these training models, this training algorithm? Like, because imagine like an arms race with AI that's leaking data. Like, what could go wrong? Like, there's just so much to consider before doing any of this in prod, especially when lives or personal safety or kinetic events are involved.
Yeah, can I bring it up a level? So I know like this is the AI show, but I want to bring it up a level if I can, because imagine you're working as a person under a CISO in a Fortune 100 company, and the board fires the CEO, and the new CEO comes in, and then they just bring in a bunch of people that start plugging in stuff, don't even talk to you about your rules and regulations and standards and all that kind of stuff. Nope, you have no, we don't even have any idea what kinds of real controls, because just because they're in GovCloud doesn't mean they actually do things well. And like, do you have any concern that like people just started plugging stuff in and yanking data and throw it in places? Like, just that seems to me kind of bad.
Yeah.
I've heard this and read this characterized as like the biggest data breach in the history of everything.
It is.
And I don't think that is hyperbole at all. Yeah,
But that,
the people are concerned.
I guess, like, we don't even know what the data is, though. And like, you can't you now cannot FOIA this until 2034, which
Yeah.
is all very interesting. And that implies that they want to have some kind of free reign over what data can go in there. So nobody has, like, the regulation on it can't like come into effect, I would assume. Dancing around points here. But wouldn't, I guess it just depends on like what agencies have what. Like, is it going to be employee information? Is it going to be strictly like grant information? Is it just the receipts of purchases? Is it text messages? Like, how deep do you think?
Wait, am I wrong
data
in
is?
that I read that it's also like the treasury, I mean the entire treasury
Mhm.
database,
All the
which
treasury
is
spend, yeah, yeah,
socials and payments, and that's where I think it's the classified data breach, because it's like it's sensitive
Financial.
information on every citizen that's in the hands of folks that normally haven't gone through the normal channels of background checks and civil whatever protections that they go through to be a civil servant for their career.
What is the process for a data breach within the government? Are they filing K-8s or?
That's my question.
Because
I mean, a
usually,
lot of this. Sorry,
like,
go ahead.
I guess usual process is like you would have to have an incident response in order to file that security.
Well, that's also for only for publicly traded companies, right? The SEC. So
Right.
like the Treasury is
Yeah.
not publicly traded yet. So
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So like, what is the responsible disclosure process for the government? I genuinely do not know.
Well, since
Never
the
mind.
executive branch should be responsible for doing the actual investigation, there's Congress can try to get some oversight, but I doubt that's actually going to happen.
So, like, genuinely, that's kind of my last point on it. Is, in a fucked up way, this is pointing out so many things that we need to be thinking about. Is like, how does the government like respond to these things? What is the process? What is like AI going to be allowed to do with our government's data? And it seems like
Right.
the answer right now is don't worry about it. And I think that that is not good enough for anybody, no matter what side of the aisle you're on.
100%.
I do like what Byron said though, like sending a sorry, we slipped your data. Here's some free credit reporting. They could with your tax refund, they could give you a free credit reporting thing too this year. That might be something they could do.
How about we just don't have to pay to file taxes? I would take that. Like
They deleted that, but they deleted that app, so it's not no good. We can't do that now. Moving on, because let's go pick on something else that's way less controversial. So DeepSeek, if everyone has been under a rock, because even those of us who are away at our offsite talked about AI and DeepSeek. If you haven't done this before or haven't used this yet, this is a brand new model this is a Chinese company, Chinese startup, and I hate this anthropomorphism of all like these AI things because it doesn't reason. It's got an algorithm. It's just an algorithm, and it
Hey,
pulls stuff
Bob, take a
apart.
second and explain the reasoning. What does reasoning mean in
Yeah, I'm gonna
AI?
get there. Yeah.
Okay.
So like what this is doing, like unlike the traditional things that if you've been using ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever, it takes what you're giving to it as input, and then it figures out what sequence of randomness of words that's going to spit back at you based upon the stuff that you actually brought into it. What this thing does is it takes what you said to it, and then it has algorithms behind it. It's not all AI, and it tries to break it apart into steps for the research that it should go do. Research, basically, go grab live data to then build random responses back to you, hopefully in like the right order, and it actually makes sense. But according to the BBC, it doesn't always do that right. To be able to do so, rather than it be just like you toss it, it gives you stuff back. It has some algorithms that like break it up into steps. It goes and does individual components of grabbing data, coming up with a response for the data, and then trying to give you a cohesive thing, from that. It is better in a lot of cases. Like I have been using it in the proposal. Actually, I'll go back one more too. So they released this, and they did what everyone else is doing. Like they released the models. Like it's an open weights model, so it's not open source. Open source would mean you have access to all the training data, and the actual sequences of steps it was trained in, and then all the stuff it did to come up with the weights that caused the thing to be useful, like at the very tail end of the output. So it's just open weights and the actual model, like the model file. And the interesting thing about it is like they gave it away. So like everybody installed it. Well, everybody, okay, not everybody. ChatGPT made their own, but Perplexity installed it, and a bunch of other places. You can actually run it if you run Olama, which is a free way of running like LLMs locally, which works really well on Apple hardware if you don't have a GPU on your PCs. You can actually, like I have it. I actually have it running. I'm staring at you on a screen that's attached to a Mac Studio, and I've actually been running it since it works great. It works fine locally. You don't have to give your data away to anybody to be able to use it that way. And so Perplexity has been, and I've been playing with it, like, just trying some things out on there. Like you're going to hear at the end of the show, as we always do, like AI creates the closers for this, and this DeepSeek
Wait,
created
you just gave away the secret.
They know that anyway.
We thought that was you.
No, sure. Everyone definitely thought that was my creative ability. It created, and it's really cringy. It's worse. It's more cringy than anyone has ever been, which is awesome, actually, which is pretty cool. And so but it's not reasoning. But anyway, they did this, and a bunch of stuff on this one is we don't really know where the training data came from, and now Microsoft and OpenAI are like, we think you stole, which is hilarious. Like we think you stole our training data, which we stole from everybody, like, which is great. I don't understand how they can complain about that.
AI wars.
And then a couple other things I want to just toss out for discussion is it is, it was trained in China, so there's some built-in biases associated with it, which we can talk about. And I don't think folks really know this about like these model files that run, but like if you bring a model, like so if you download a model file and run it in Olama, like it can run code, like actual real code to do things, especially if you've got network connectivity and things like that. It isn't just a bit of matrix multiplication instructions. It actually has code it can run inside there. So these things are potential like ticking time bombs in organizations if you do run it and download it and bring it into there too. And then finally, Glenn mentioned some of this already, like people that have been using it online in DeepSeek's own network. And please, I mean, don't put your work stuff into DeepSeek proper, because it's literally all going to China servers. And like, we apparently don't want that with TikTok, or maybe we do now, but maybe I don't understand anything anymore. But don't put your work stuff into this. It's not
Personal videos on TikTok to China. Okay. Or not okay. Sending work secrets to China via AI. Totally cool.
Yeah, totally cool. So like that's teeing it up for y'all, because I know y'all have thoughts on this one. But from my perspective, I do appreciate the strength of the model. Knowing up front it's got some biases, I'm never going to ask it questions about like Uyghurs or anything like that, because it's not going to give me stuff I want to hear, and that or that's true, or actually part of reality. But like this, and I guess the final thing, which I did mention, but they claim to have trained this super cheap, and basically gutting all of the potential profits for OpenAI and all the other AI companies out there. There's been some controversy around just how cheap that is. I think it still ends up being cheaper than what OpenAI and Microsoft and all the other ones have been, and Google have been doing. But that's kind of that's what caused most of the headlines, because like OpenAI is like apparently terrified of this particular model, even though they built their own similar model associated with this. So I guess I'll toss it around and you guys can take it up whatever order. But like, have you used it? And have you thought about some of the privacy and data leakage and other implications associated with this for people using it?
I mean, I can talk about this from kind of a weird vuln check perspective, which we usually don't talk about, like our company's perspective on things, which is interesting. But we've talked about the implications of what models we use, and like the idea of not putting our data into them. So it's something that we like genuinely consider when we're looking at models. And like, I think the developers that are really interested in AI are looking at a variety of models. It's not like the consumer side of things, where it's kind of like you have your loyalty to one of them. Like, I'm very loyal to ChatGPT. I like the way it talks to me. It's so friendly. It is friend now. A lot of people use it as like their therapist. It's crazy. So I think like on the consumer side, we'll probably start seeing things break down into like dialects, which is really interesting and kind of scary to talk about and think about. Like, I know that there's a lot of people really into character.ai, where you like get to talk to, some person model. And I think that runs on OpenAI. I don't remember what
Yeah,
the
and
character.
actually, Kimber, I made an Andrew Morris on character AI.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Why?
it's actually it's scarily accurate too.
Does
It's
he
scarily.
know?
I think I told
Well, there
him
was plenty
back
of
in the day,
training
I think.
data for that character, so that was probably why it's so accurate.
Oh my God. So you just made a shitpost AI. Great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So they kind of highlight. Oh, I'm sorry, Kimber.
Oh no, that was just pretty much like the distinction was like the people who are actually engineering these things are thinking about like where the data ultimately goes, because they have to, like, at least for us, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of like highlight the very quick rise and fall of not fall, but the rise and then dampening of
Plateau.
plateau of DeepSeek, and kind of to the earlier point in the last segment about you just don't know until you spend some time with these things. So like it launched, the mobile chatbot was launched on the 10th of January. The R1 reasoning model was released on the 20th of January. A week later, it was the most downloaded app in the App Store. So it had, it went from 0 to 100 real fast. And then 2 days after that is when there was some research showing that it's leaking sensitive information. So again, so basically 2 days from it being the most popular app to understanding that this is leaking, like what you put into there can be basically extracted in other ways by engaging with it. And then since then, there's been a lot more time. And this is only in the matter of like 2 weeks, right? So within 2 weeks, there was already like a lot of excitement that affected the stocks and stuff of companies involved with AI research. And then all of a sudden, like, governments and stuff are banning it because it's like, oh, we can't trust this. It's Chinese based, and anything in China can feed the government, by law can feed the government data and stuff like that. So like we as a community or as citizens of the world, like, deserve to have some vetting and some understanding of these things before they are put into production use or whatever. So this is like a really great example of why it's very uncomfortable to see things move too fast for decision making in the world of AI.
Well, the leaks, I mean, it leaks it in a couple different ways. Like the model itself can be interacted with by other people to tease stuff out of it.
Mhm.
But if you are using the mobile app, delete it like now. Like
Mhm.
don't stop listening to us and go delete that, or delete it while you're listening to us. Because like it disables app transport security on iOS, and I'm sure it doesn't even have to use it on Android. And it's literally transmitting everything in the clear. Plus, it's also collecting as much data as Apple lets any app collect. Like the entire thing, that the bundle that it could collect about your device, it's getting and sending it every time it goes out there. So it's
Also,
not great. Like it. Good.
maybe a good reminder that you don't always have to use an app to use a website on your phone. like sometimes like you can just go to the website and use it without giving up all of your personal information. So maybe check that out first. Often they're just wrappers. So
Yeah, I think great reminder, Glenn. That's how I use Instagram now. Um, but also, wasn't there like that leaked database of like over 1 million records that they found just like sitting out on the internet from DeepSeek? I think
oh, I
researchers
don't
found
know.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was like there's
There
an
was that too.
exposed
Yeah.
database. Yeah, with like user prompts and stuff. So we have user prompts, we have all the data, yeah, all that's involved there. And then on the iOS app, I believe it also collects like the keystrokes data and all that stuff, which can be biometrically associated with you. Or maybe not keystrokes, whatever the equivalent of that is, swipes. Um, I think I don't have like a fully formed opinion on this. I think there's a lot of political biases at play to say that like data stored in a server in China is inherently more risky than like we have our own Western like controversial data collection policies by our own agencies. So I feel like this is not like as an AI company, the fact that it had so many leaks, that it has so many questionable policies, uh that it had like the leaked database, that it failed like those 50 like jailbreak attempts. Like all of that is something I would expect of like an early stage AI product. I think that it just got too big too fast and immediately crashed.
It failed 50 out of how many?
50 out of 50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all of them. They failed all of them.
100%.
100%. Yeah, as the comment
Oh,
Yeah,
stated. So
I shot it to Frank. Yeah, like so Frank's
thanks,
also
Frank.
on our team. DeepSeek also failed 50 out of 50 jailbreak attacks. See, like as Kim just said, some people might think that's positive. Like, he's not wrong. Like some people don't want to be constrained.
yeah, the censorship is also something I won't get into too much, but like that is worrying. Obviously all models have some sort of bias, but the fact for it to be so like so explicitly censoring information is worrying. But yeah, vet your own like again to Frank's point, maybe this is useful to certain users. I don't think it would be anybody who's like a investigative journalist or somebody who cares about privacy, but I think I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, evaluate your tools for what your needs are, because it's like, again, it's falling to the user, I think, disproportionately here to figure these things out, because nobody's holding these companies accountable.
So have you all played with it though? That was one of my questions. Have you actually typed something into it to see what it says back?
The only thing that I've played with is the rumor that was going around about there were some like not memes, but like the Tiananmen Square stuff and the screenshots of it like responding a certain way, but it was pretty clear that some of those were real in the sense that like yeah, it doesn't have like a strong opinion on those things, but some of them were fake and you could tell by like the wording that was used. So we played around it for quite a bit in that sense of just like kind of validating the claims of some of the like biases that it had, which is I think going to be important for people to think about when we do get more and more models out there, is like make sure to validate the claims that you're seeing, because sometimes it's very
Oh my
obvious that
gosh.
things are faked.
Well, so think, like all of this is trained. So if it's going to be trained on news organizations that are known to not validate any of their articles or output, then the model is going to pick up on that, and then the model is going to spread that, right? And so you can see how it like spreads very quickly. So yes, AI is not a blind trust exercise. Like it just like searching through search results, like you need to do some third-party validation.
So that reminds me of this, which we don't have to dig into super deeply, but like I think what we are already starting to see is these LLMs replacing search engines for a lot of people, which is the most concerning thing to me, where people will go, instead of going to, a web browser and searching for like a website, to get information, they'll go straight to the LLM or chatbot and be like, tell me this information without validating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, so Glenn and I both use Arc still because it's the best browser, unfortunately. And well, it is. I mean, it's a personal preference, so I'm not saying anything anyway. But for the longest time, Arc was pushing, and their mobile app does push this because that's what it does. Please just make your search engine Perplexity and let it sort through all of the things and tell you what the actual response was versus give you the links to go look yourself for everything. And I think I think we're still at the point where with all these systems that's still way too dangerous of a thing for anyone to rely on. But unfortunately, the vast majority of people using these things don't understand that.
I mean, I think there is a lot. I mean, at least, we kind of live in the perplexity world, but there's many. But it will give you the links, like the sources. And so, that's not to say like if it depends on how important the answer or the impact of the answer is that you're asking, an AI engine. As far as like take it at surface level or like go execute off of it. But when you can get those sources and then check that, like that shows a lot more transparency than just straight up saying like you should, I don't know, I can't think of anything right now, but like instead of just blindly following, like check the sources. It's fine.
Like very tangential to the conversation, but there was a ChatGPT ad during the Super Bowl.
Right? Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why. That was weird.
I think
cool.
it's very
It was a cool
obvious.
visual. I like the vibe of it, but
I mean, we're gonna to get people using it. I mean,
do they need people using it?
No, they don't.
That's what I was wondering.
They just burned another $8.5 million.
I don't think they care. But it's just like, oh, well, now AI is consumer, like officially, right? So
a question for Kimber, which is a macro question or just a macro. It's a question for Kimber, but a macro statement to everybody. I'm no longer a parent of a young child who goes to normals. Like the last one's in college, so he's on his own. So I don't have high schoolers or whatever. And and I'm asking Kimber this in a different way. So I don't know if schools are teaching AI usage literacy. Do you have any kind of things like that, like programs or seminars or whatever, or talks at the AI at your hackerspace for that stuff?
At the hackerspace, we have a lot of interest. We've had a couple of AI based classes, but it kind of is in more of the utility of it. So like there was a Python programming class with AI. There was also like 3D printing with AI, which I found very interesting.
Neat.
So there's a lot of like utility use classes. And then there's been a lot of like drifting into the weird, like kind of the more extreme, like AI feelings of like, put me in the matrix, man. Like I'm ready. So I think we're kind of staying in like the utility usage of it. I think the hacking community is using AI for a lot of really interesting things. Social engineering is number one. And then Python programming, number two.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we should already be here. Like if I were in charge of a very large organization, like you have to do your security awareness training. You have to learn how not to click on, bad phishing emails, and you also need to learn how to use AI. Like basically at this point.
Yes, if
It's
your
the
company doesn't
next
have an
security awareness.
AI policy, you probably should be working with someone to do that because
And you can
needs some
ask
guidance. And
AI to
speaking,
make an AI awareness class and get it done pretty quick.
wow. Speaking of hackers using AI, while we were goofing off at our company offsite, which we were not goofing off at, it was kind of brutal. I mean, it wasn't as brutal as the last offsite, but it was still pretty long days. Splunk went out and released a really not very cleverly named. I know it actually stands for it's a I think they backronymed it, but it's called DECEIVE. It's an
You would have
LLM
done
based.
this same thing.
I would not.
You're just jealous.
It's
All
a
right, maybe.
witty name, and I like it.
Maybe jealous.
Look at
Anyway,
that
it is
AI generated image of a hacker and the Matrix Man.
I almost didn't cover it because of the AI generated image, because that's where I draw the line. Like I won't use it. I won't use AI to generate images because of just how much it decimates the artistic community out there. So
Also, in a GitHub README,
right?
It was fine without it.
It's like in line with the text. I don't know.
I mean, did we have, and like for folks that can't see it, just go to the GitHub, and it's an AI generated dude in a hoodie, because of course you have to have a dude in a hoodie, and then it's some ethereal AI being on the other side of it, which is
zoom in so we can count the fingers.
I would have at least asked the AI to make it a non-gendered homie.
Yeah.
I'm zooming in for Glenn so we can. Well, it's AI. It's an AI adversary or AI thing. Does it matter how many fingers it has?
It should have at least 8 fingers. At least. On each hand. Sorry.
It has it. Yeah, it's very creepy. This whole thing is creepy.
There's
anyway,
no thumb.
it's actually really cool. So this isn't the first. So right now, all this is, it is an SSH honeypot. You seed it with some things, and then it behaves like a system that you're wanting it to behave like. It works it's usable. It might be a little slower on just if you don't have like a fancy GPU, or you're not on a Mac that has the integrated GPUs. It's a little slower, but it'll run. So anyone can use this. It doesn't take a lot of hardware. It does a fine job of pretending to be a system, and what it does is it logs all the things that the attacker is doing. So it logs the creds that were used and all the commands that were typed. And basically it brings it back. It makes some judgment calls about benign, malicious, unknown, oddly no suspicious, Glenn. Interesting. So
I think it does actually.
You think was it suspicious too?
I thought it was benign, suspicious, and then overtly malicious, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I can look. Well, you guys can go on there. I just want to talk about this because I mean, this is something that we're playing, like we're toying around with the idea. We have like in our new architecture, which we can now say because we've been using it, and you saw there's I still can't pronounce this. I'm not gonna Zykel, whatever. I don't know what it is.
Zixel.
So and you're gonna say it twice in a minute, so you can say it there too.
There's a video.
So, right. So we have all sorts of cool things that we can do with our sensors now, and this is one area we're going to be doing at some point. Like we're still putting a lot of the more shallow clones out there, some more of the medium interaction stuff, and we want to do some more high interaction stuff before we invest a lot of time and effort into this. But I actually think this is a great way to do that. My one concern, and I haven't seen any of the pen test. This has only been out for a week, so I don't think the pen tester community has had a lot of time with it yet. But this is also something that this is running code. It can be jailbroken, just like other AI systems can be jailbroken. And I'm curious what the guardrails that they put around it to make it be a bit safer than that on the target system. But I'm curious from you guys, like this seems to be like one of the better uses of this technology, because it lets just fool the people that are trying to do bad things. Doesn't necessarily put them into a place where they could do more harm because it's all fake on the back end side of it. This seems like one of the better cyber AI things to come out in quite a while from my vantage point.
Yeah, I think it's more like like if you just want to mess around with honeypots and have something that is not just they all look the same and they all respond the same, like this is a great foray into that. Like from the gray noise perspective, I wouldn't like build a company or a fleet around this. You know, there's value in deceiving or creating deception as they exist IRL. But you know, if you don't have any honeypots, or maybe you only can have like 3 in your environment, then you probably would get some better information if they could be more dynamic like this one is, versus, you know, having the stereotypical like black and white copy paste honeypot that's pretty easily detectable.
Yeah, I think this is like great for anybody who needs to just spin up something for learning. I think the other side of it is where gray noise exists, where like, oh boy, are there a lot of protocols out there, and LLMs can be helpful with that. But like just spinning up a honeypot, I think this is a very clever usage of it. I really like it.
Yeah.
I was reading through the docs.
Himage, I learned about this because I get stalked all you census people, and Aiden had starred it on GitHub, and I'm curious, are you all? I mean, and maybe you don't want to disclose if you are, so you can just say I take the fifth or whatever. But are you working on any kind of scans to detect the
I plead the
deployment of
fifth
DECEIVE? Okay,
about
there we go.
that. But I'll say I'm excited about this because you like the honeypots that we do see that are like low interaction, copy paste are kind of boring. Just from a researcher perspective. And so I'm excited to see what comes out. I want to see some weird
Wow,
honeypots.
throwing
And
shade, throwing
want-
shade at
Imogen's
all the
like make
honeypot runners.
make my job more interesting.
make my
I
job more
am
interesting.
so
Please don't.
in the same boat.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of boring honeypots. Do
I know.
something
I
weird.
probably will regret saying this, but yeah, I want to see the barrier to entry lowered as well for learning. And yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I also wonder, you know, is this one of those things where now we're going to have to use AI to detect AI? Are we going to ask AI to tell us to recognize AI? This is
Oh,
all
we're
getting
getting
very Blade Runner.
dead internet.
Yeah.
It's happening. You're right. That's so funny to think about. We're using AI to like fire things. Now it's going to be hitting AI targets that are going to be analyzed with AI to tell you the one thing that you need to worry about. Buying a
Can't
farm.
Or
go on.
or we just let them all fight each other and we go farming or whatever. That might be cool.
Buying my farm.
Yeah. So for everyone that if you haven't seen DECEIVE, go grab. It's really easy to run locally, even with just a CPU. And Splunk is looking for contributors to go beyond SSH. It should be fairly straightforward because the SSH was actually a little harder because of the level of interaction it needs. For HTTP, it could be kind of fun to see if you could give it like make it be like some garbage SSL but like actually there are no non-garbage SSL VPNs out there, but like make it be a garbage SSL VPN box, like or something like that. They would probably need to add into there, and you could get some fun playing with AI, get some AI chops, and also just play with honeypots because honeypots can be cool. They're not all bad, Imogen.
Big honeypot
They're
fan.
not all bad.
Yeah, like we're
Speaking
not
of,
dogging on AI. We're dogging on irresponsible use of AI.
My favorite honeypot is just attaching a Windows machine to the internet, just raw dogging the internet with a Windows machine. That's a honeypot.
oh, the Morse protocol, the Morse
Yeah.
protocol. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I guess a good reminder.
Yeah, he's insane. He is absolutely insane. So speaking of bad, you have some bad boxes to talk about today.
I
Imogen.
do. So we did some good research on bad boxes. Ha ha
What you
ha.
gonna do?
Last actually no, not last year anymore, but in 2023 there's this relatively new malware campaign called Bad Box that came out of the woodwork. It's a malware that targets Android TV boxes, everything from, you know, your popular models like Yandex to your sketchier things, and it's baked into the firmware. So it's actually pretty hard to tell when you have a device whether you're affected or not without like taking it apart. But one of our wonderful researchers found a certificate and an SSH key that indicate that are common among bad box C2 that are exposed on the internet distributing the malware, and shows how you can find those things in Census, and demonstrates using our wonderful new platform that, by the way, our beta for testing it is closing soon. So go try it out if you haven't already. But yeah, it demonstrates how to pivot using it, and like how to investigate things like the infrastructure and the other like related services on these servers, and asked me to highlight the fact that you should buy your Android devices and your Android TVs from legitimate sources, or if you're buying it from a reseller, be wary.
There's no such thing as a legitimate Android device. There's no such thing as a legitimate
I
Android
wasn't gonna
device.
say that, but yes.
This botnet really captured my heart, and I got to know it, and I am friends with it now.
Why? Why did it capture your heart?
I think
it's the TV watching you instead of you watching the TV.
Well, for one, it's big. It's a big boy botnet. There's like sometimes
big bad box energy.
Yeah, big bad box energy, and I just have a real soft spot in my heart for shitty, terrible certificates that really stand out. Yeah.
There are good
We're
certificates.
Also flawed.
It was good research. I really liked it. In between Census and BitSite, it was a good one.
Cool. Well, we missed 3 of the Voncheck blogs thanks to us, goofing off on our offsite last week. So this first one, I believe, is from Patrick and talking about the 2024 trends in vulnerability exploitation. You got some deets on this
Hey,
one?
Bob, Patrick wants his hat back.
Yeah, that is a Patrick hat.
It's mine now. It's mine now. It's my Poirot
Did you
hat.
kidnap Patrick? Is he in your basement?
Settle down, Patrick. Settle down. No.
Patrick is at S4 this week. It's a conference.
At least
at
that's
Florida.
what you think. At least that's what you think.
I think Patrick's in a basement in Maine.
With
18 inches of snow outside.
Where the hats come from, but Patrick did this blog recapping the 2024 trends in exploitation that we saw in our known exploited vulnerabilities database. So just taking a look at the differences per usual, kind of thinking about like the timing of exploit release and general trends. So it's a good rundown. If you want to think about 2024 and how that might affect your 2025, still relevant.
And I have to plug that independent, non-sponsored findings show in this blog that Gray Noise is detecting some exploitation before others. So, I
think your logo's in there.
It is.
It's definitely in there. It should be bigger. You all need to be louder, I think, than...
Yeah.
We
last year, because a lot of this is based on reporting, and so like a lot of it is in our data, but we're not reporting it directly because we had a really busy last year. So we are working on that.
We need to figure out a way to, sorry, this is scoping into work talk, but we need to make sure to get your references in our data set because yes, Gray Noise sees things very fast.
Yeah.
The other blogs that we have out are the Zixel 0 days that are out there in the world, the Telnet and the HTTP. So just Jake Baines wrote up a good breakdown on how those work, how we found them, why they were on our radar to begin with. So fun blogs last week.
Yeah, lots of great info if you haven't gone to go with them. This whole Zixel, whatever. I am livid about the fact that vendors just let these things just die and don't patch, and it's just.
Yeah, this is actually one where we were the first to find exploitation, and there are indicators that maybe exploitation's been going on for like 3 years, so that's fun. And it is a funny liner to see, and this was in the newsletter This Week in Security, so I'm totally stealing it, but basically Zixel saying these are end of life. You have to replace them with new ones, and then you can go on Amazon or eBay under their official company account and still buy these devices. So if you are doing more security research, you can easily acquire these devices that are already known to be owned and unfixable.
Let's take it off.
I think I need to make a significant effort to talk to some folks on the CVE board to come on the show and really answer for this, because this is one of those damning things where there's some drama. I'm not going to cover the drama. I'm just going to mention there's some drama around this and the releasing of it. We're not covering the drama here, but because of that drama, it underscores just how completely useless the CVE program is when it lets vendors be their own CNAs.
Right.
And
It's so
I would really love, I would love someone from the CVE board to come on the show and defend it to me, because I have data, and you don't, because I've seen your reports, so you don't really have data. So
Bob
I
said,
think that
change my mind.
CVEs for end of life devices should like have an indicator. Like they should always start at 9 or something. Like it should just be known if you have a CVE that's for something that's unfixable. Like by reading the CVE number, you should know. That's right.
Maybe we can add little like stars or bangs or bombs next to the thing, because we can use emojis in text.
Yeah.
So you could do
emoji CVEs, please don't.
No, you can. It's valid
yeah,
to
you
use
can.
emojis in CVEs, CVE records.
No.
WhatsApp.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
Oh,
I can't live in
the
that
record.
world.
It is.
It's fine.
CVE
People are
sad
putting entire
face,
people
robot
put entire
emoji,
files of
banana.
source code in the CVE description now. It's really annoying. People just this CVE is so
Oh, I'm
broken.
out.
Anyway,
I'm out.
Anyway, so we have our noise letter came out last week. We couldn't talk about it last week. I'm only directing people to it because it talks about where we're going to be over the next couple of months at various conferences and stuff out there. So you should get that if you so want to run into any one of us. And with Glenn, use
Or
a
if you're a
car,
fan
because
of
that's the most effective
Severance.
way to do that. We don't need to talk about that. That's fine.
Enjoy every episode of Stormwatch equally, please.
No, enjoy some more than others.
Yeah.
Pick favorites.
So is anyone else getting 18 inches of snow between Thursday and Sunday like I am?
God, I hope so.
Nope.
I really want it to snow more. I want winter. More winter.
It's cold and rainy here.
Yeah, we still have snow on the ground.
And Himage is all set for Fashion Week, like you said earlier. So she's good to go
Yes.
for the runway.
Play.
Very cool. Very cool. All right.
Did you say slay, Glenn?
Slay. Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. All right. Well, thanks for weathering another storm with us on Gray Noise Stormwatch. Here's hoping these DOGE days of winter aren't too rough on your data. Remember, an ounce of encryption is worth a pound of remediation. So stay positive. Keep your AI on high alert, and we'll fetch you more security scoops next time. Until then, stay safe and stay for real. Take care, everybody.
Bye.